Islam will enter every house. Every house. Don't worry about the Islamophobes. They can yap all they want. Their children will be Muslim. And it's not going to stop. You can stop immigration. You can stop whatever. You can do Muslim bans. Wallahi, it's not stopping.
By the way, the Australians are scared to death of the Indonesians. They told me this when I was in Australia. Look, he was in Australia too. Look who we let in to our country. But we couldn't let Sylvester Stallone in because he had some steroids on him. All right, people. Australia is becoming Islamized at an alarming rate. We have already seen what happens when your cities, towns, even countries fall to Islam. Everything changes. Only an idiot would believe that nothing will happen and things will keep going. Well, things will keep going, but they will be a lot miserable. If you want to see what happens to countries when Islam takes over, have a look at Lebanon. Have a look at the Islamic regime of Iran. You want to see what happens when a considerable size of your country becomes Islamized. Have a look at France, Germany, and the UK. This is not racism. This is not xenophobia. This is simple, pure, objective analysis. And now Australia is staring down the barrel. We are a huge landmass. We are a whole continent, but we are much smaller when it comes to our population. So we can fall a lot quicker than America, because America is a lot bigger. But even Americans are waking up. Americans are realizing. American politicians are openly speaking up against Islamization. Many congressmen, many senators have spoken about it. Even Marco Rubio just recently destroyed Islam. They have at least recognized it, of course. America is our cultural cousin, but they still have some stark differences. Americans are a lot more patriotic, which is why we need to bring patriotism in Australia as well. We need to talk about this too. If you don't believe me what I'm saying, then have a listen to these Muslims telling you what's going to happen to Australia.
Islam will enter every house. Every house.
He is an American-based Imam based in California. I think he came to Australia. We give them visas, apparently. They can come and say these things over and over again. But Tommy Robinson apparently can't enter Australia because he's too extreme. Look at this. This guy.
Don't worry about the Islamophobes. They can yap all they want. Their children will be Muslim.
Your children will be Muslim. Your daughter will be wearing a burqa. Pork will be haram. Nightclubs will be shut down. Pubs, bars, gone. Northern England, Labour councils, not some Islamist political party, Labour councils are recommending schools in Muslim-dominated areas to avoid music and art because those two things are haram in Islam. It's happening in Northern England. It's happening in England. What makes you think it's not going to happen in Australia? This is peak narcissism if you think it's not going to happen to us. We have so many examples. It happened in Lebanon and happened in Iran. Okay, there were Muslim countries, semi-Muslim. Lebanon actually wasn't a Muslim country. Lebanon was a Christian country. You know why we have so many Lebanese people in Australia? Do you actually know why? Because Muslims took over Lebanon. That's why all these Christian Lebanese people moved to Australia. That's why we have such a big Lebanese population. Of course, a lot of Muslim Lebanese people came too. And look, we never have problem with Christian Lebanese people. You know, the gaslit Jewish people is a day of victory. That guy, right after October 7th, those gaslit Jewish people, they're all Lebanese Muslims. They're not Lebanese Christians. They're Lebanese Muslims. And they're telling you what are they going to do.
It's coming in every house in every country. Today here in Australia, subhanAllah, I'm sitting here in a masjid that we have people all the way out past the second place. Look at this. Who could have imagined these many Muslims in Australia? And it's not going to stop. You can stop immigration. You can stop whatever. You can do Muslim bans. Wallahi, it's not stopping.
Look at that. I mean, look, I know there are very deluded people too. They are apparently winning the war in Iran. They're deluded, but their biggest weakness is also one of their biggest strengths because they manifest their delusions into reality by keep repeating their delusions over and over again, which makes them very dangerous and lethal. Because they so steadfastly believe in their delusions, they act on it. They act on it like no other culture does. Westerners are much more practical. They analyze things and then they apply them. These people are dogmatic. These people are fanatics. They believe in the theology dogmatically. And in the process, you know, they get beaten a lot. Look what happened to them in Iraq and Afghanistan. Look what's happening to the leadership in Iran But death doesn't scare them the way it scares a rational person. In his mind, he wouldn't want to die because he believes in propagating Islam till his dying breath. But in his mind, he's prepared that if he dies, he dies. So what? He's going to go to heaven and is going to, have fun with 72 virgins. That's why these guys are very dangerous. That's why they produce suicide bombers. So I don't know how you want to see it, whether that's a quality or a drawback. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just here to give you an objective analysis. These people are dangerous. These people are lethal. Do not take them easy. Yes, a lot of that is delusion. Let me tell you a story. Alexander the Great was a huge fan of Achilles. He was a massive fan of the heroics and exploits of Achilles. And legend says that he wanted to top him. He wanted to be as great a warrior as Achilles. Some stories say that he used to sleep with Homer's Iliad under his pillow. I don't know whether that's true or not. So he actually wanted to top Achilles. That was his source of motivation. Some people say Achilles probably wasn't even a real character. Maybe it was fiction. Who knows? But that's irrelevant. The point here is, if you believe in something, whether that's real or imagined, it doesn't matter. What matters is how firmly you believe in that and how much inspiration you draw from that. That's all that matters. And look, his delusion might have served him really well, but it didn't serve the Persians that well. Persians fell to him. They lost their great empire to a man who had an imaginary or real hero. It's the same with these people. We don't believe in their delusions. We don't believe in their God. We don't believe in their theology. But that's irrelevant. They believe in it. What are they going to do? They believe in spreading Islam, like he's saying.
Because the Prophet ﷺ said it will enter every house.
Yeah, that's it. See, because their prophet said that Islam is going to enter every house. Therefore, it's going to happen. I have seen so many videos. I can't play all those videos. They said because it's the promise of Allah.
Today, from some of the staunchest enemies of Islam, preachers and pastors, you see Muslims.
Yeah, there's a bit of both. It goes both ways. A lot of people have left Islam too. Have a look at this guy. This one is in Arabic. I'm going to read you the subtitles. Look at this. How can you even compare the Palestinian cause with the conquest of Rome, for example, or the complete conquest of Latin America, or the conquest of North America? Compare it to hearing the news that the Islamic fleet is sailing from Malaysia towards Australia. By the way, the Australians are scared to death of the Indonesians. This is what they tell themselves. Most Aussies don't even think about it. Okay? Again, as I said, truth doesn't really matter. What matters is, what do they believe to be true? That's what matters. Delusion can be just as dangerous as a true, objectively held belief. Delusions can be just as dangerous. By the way, the Australians are scared to death of the Indonesians. They told me this when I was in Australia. Look, he was in Australia too. Look who we let in to our country. But we couldn't let Sylvester Stallone in because he had some steroids on him. See how broken our liberal values are in a way. So Sylvester Stallone with a couple of vials of growth hormones, that's not a danger to anyone. But look at this. Look what kind of people come to Australia. People who dream to conquer Australia. Listen to the rest of it. They believe that one day the Muslim armies will come from Indonesia. Well, we do have a defense strategy for Indonesia, but we don't view Indonesia as big a threat as China for now. But again, thankfully, Indonesia is not as dogmatic as some of these Middle Eastern countries. And usher Islam into Australia, whether they like it or not. My dear Johns and Toms and Bills, while you're worried about, upgrading your lifestyle, look what our enemies are hoping for and preparing for. Australia is a huge, rich country. We got so lucky. I often wonder, what if Indonesia had conquered Australia, if not the Europeans? This would have been another shithole, to be honest. Australia would have been a shithole had it been discovered by the Muslims. It's not a controversial statement to make. Look at all Muslim countries around you. Yes, the Persian Gulf countries have done well in recent times because of the wealth of its natural resources. But still, we would have had a lot of burqas here. A lot of burqas, a lot of stonings, a lot of amputations, a lot of primitive usual stuff that Islamists and Muslim countries do. So whether you like it or not, Islam is coming to Australia. All the enemies of Allah and his messenger, i.e. you and me, will be struck with humiliation and misery. And look what we're doing. Our pathetic prime minister is saying that, forget about it. Australia is not going to be the Australia of old.
And there'll be some politicians, some of which have risen up recently in polling, who are essentially appealing to vote for us and the world will stop. Or worse still, we'll go back to the Australia of the 1950s or 60s with the same population that looked like that.
He's cheapening it. That's not what Pauline Hanson says. Pauline Hanson is not a proponent of White Australia policy. She's a proponent of Australian values.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And it's a fool's errand.
It's not a fool's errand. It's going to happen. It has to happen. Otherwise, we'll lose Australia. Australia is the greatest country. I genuinely believe is Australia. Well, okay, maybe there's a bit of a bias, but Australia and some of our Western countries, they have done really well for themselves. Australia, Canada, UK, New Zealand, America, of course, France, Germany, Western European countries. They've done really well for themselves. They have become the absolute pinnacle of civilization or how countries should be. No two ways about it. And then they started importing people from other cultures. If those people could build great countries on large scale, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm an individual too. I came from a failed country like Pakistan. But if you bring 1 million people from Pakistan, I can guarantee you Australia will become a shithole very quickly. Because if Pakistanis could create great countries, then would they not have turned Pakistan into a great country? The third world is the third world. Because of its people, because of its failed values, because of its lack of structure. That's why third world countries are third world countries. You can bring in people from these failed countries. You think that every individual is equal? They're not. Humans are very similar to machines. We are run by a software. And our software is our culture.
What we need to do is to make sure that we acknowledge that this is a rapid period of change. That won't continue. But
this is a rapid period of change. They're rapidly changing our demography. This is akin to treason. Even if you believe in what he believes in, because they will like to get on their high horse and they say, we're not racist, blah, 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 the usual virtue signaling. Even if you believe in what you believe in, you don't have a political mandate for it. Just like the Brits, Australians did not say that they want to be replaced. Mainstream Australian society is getting replaced and we are paying for the privilege and we didn't even get a say in that. Trickle down. A little bit of immigration is good. We need some nurses, we need some doctors, a little bit, highly skilled. We don't need to bring in their people, their families. We don't need to create a pathway to citizenship. Yeah, I know, I'm saying that as a beneficiary of that, but it was a different world back in 2003. I wouldn't even recommend it to some of the people that I know from Pakistan, even to some of my family members. Seriously, I've had some arguments with my family members because they are anti-West. Not by design, but it's just who they are. Software, culture. It's just the way it is. You can see their views on war. A new study just came out in Britain. Actually, let me play you that video.
Deeply worrying new poll called Worlds Apart has shown that British Muslims hold more favourable views towards Islamist Iran and even Vladimir Putin's Russia than the United States. But
look what kind of people have we imported, and this is having a direct impact on our foreign policy. That is the reason why Keir Starmer is pussyfooting around. We're not going to get involved in this war. Even though the Islamic regime of Iran says death to England. They hate Britain. If they could get their hands on a nuclear bomb, they would have bombed Europe as well. Qatar was their friend. They just blew up Qatar's gas facilities. What do you think they're going to do to Britain? Britain, just this week, again, they just foiled 2 terrorist attacks that were inspired by the IRGC. But still, these Muslims, they have their allegiance to them, not to America, not to Britain. And actually, it gets even worse.
most worrying of all, perhaps, British Muslims only narrowly prefer Britain to Iran.
They narrowly prefer Britain to Iran. So it's like almost 50-50. Can you believe this?
Is this proof that cultural integration has failed? And what, if anything, can be done to stop the rot?
Do I need to say anything more? And in the meantime, this is what we're doing to our kids.
While the visitors get their first taste of Islamic prayers, it's come to Ahmed's attention that Isaac isn't dressed properly for the occasion.
Pull your socks up a bit more. In prayer, he had his socks under his knees and he was wearing shorts, so his knees were showing. And in Islam, you need to have from your belly button to your knees covered to be praying, and his knees were showing. So I asked him if he can pull his socks up to cover it up.
We actually started wrong. It needs to be covered from here to knee, not from bottom. The bottom part is actually fine. This part needs to be covered. But regardless, why are we allowing this? Do Muslims send their kids to churches? They actually don't. They don't. Why are white people so culturally tolerant? Why? Say no. So, my dear Aussies, Islam is coming. Islam is going to come into every house, as that Muslim told you. Your daughter could convert to Islam. She might wear a burqa. She might fall in love with Abdul. Not necessarily a bad thing, but if it happens on a huge scale, hand on heart, ask yourself, the free country that we enjoy, oh my goodness. Oh God, I can't even imagine. All of our beach lifestyle, that'll be gone. Women, you think you'd be allowed to wear a bikini? You think you'd be allowed to sunbathe at your favorite beach, whether that's Bondi or Brighton Beach? Not going to happen. That is coming. All I say to Aussies, just go to the UK. Just go there. And don't stay in white neighborhoods. That'd be cheating. Go to Bradford. Go to Birmingham. Go to Manchester. Go to East London. Go to parts of London where no white person likes to go. And then come back and then tell me if that's a good thing or a bad thing.